What up, y'all? West side, west side, west side. Gratitude. It's some more gratitude. You know it. You know what I mean? So, just opening up the YouTube and doing a video right now, man. I was called to this space and place, man, where it's a lot of great wisdom, a lot of great energy, and a lot of mystique energy. You know what I mean? But overall, it is called unto me to come and speak and share some of my wisdom and my thoughts and whatnot. And so if this video finds you or you find this video, man, gratitude and much respect. But today's video is about the land, if I could just introduce it like that, because I definitely enjoy speaking about the land, the agriculture, and the earth experience, when it comes to all that, what has been done, what are we doing, and what we are capable of as humans or as souls in this human experience. You feel me? But today's message and today's title is the Avalon and Sage, and so Avalon and Sage, the Sage and Avalon, what I'm talking about? Man, that energy, it spoke to me so clearly throughout today or earlier today in the rising, where I was just like, that got a cold ring to it, but it was so much more to the sage energy and to the mystic energy of what Avalon was really speaking to me and actually, guiding me through. And I say that to say, man, it ain't nothing that I'm unfamiliar with, but I feel that it's a language, cross-reference, and different examinations from, maybe parallels or different, realms. And I find that to be so significant and it's significant and it's beautiful. You know what I mean? I say, and I don't want to be like so intellectual when I say that, but I do mean what I say as far as it being beautiful of its own significance, because you could be in the element of a realm of experience that you don't know, and then you are learning or are, going through a moment of learning in that moment of experience, and how that, let's say, connects you back to the things that you find or the things that you are able to source in your own energy, in your own field. Man, that lets you know who you are, and what you about. You feel me? And even the surrounding spaces. So I definitely would say that with Avalon and the street of Avalon, just being out here, coming up California, Los Angeles, California, South Central, Watts, Inglewood, Hawthorne, Gardena, Compton, Crenshaw. I'm just saying, a nigga is well-rounded around this bitch, man. So, when it comes to actually experiencing and exploring the wealth of wisdom here on Avalon, I've seen so much from the unseen of Avalon, and I feel like that's just so beautiful, because the time that I've spent here, and as much time as I have spent, I would say even growing up on the east side, and shit, everybody that's from the west side come from the east side. That's facts, nigga. So when it come to LA, California, nigga, anybody that's from the west side now got some east side origins, nigga, and that's just what it is. So when it come to just me, going through the motions of memory and just the experiences, the growth, the progress of the city and community, it drew me in to the mystic energy of Avalon and what Avalon carries. And so Avalon is an island in itself, as far as the definition and what Avalon means. Avalon is an island, and or is it it's an isle of fruits, So the island of fruits, a garden of fruits, fruition, abundance, manifestation, creation, all of that energy. And essentially the fruits spoke to me earlier, because it wasn't just about the vegetables and the fruits of the vine or what come from nature, but essentially what you are able to fruit or make fruition of through your own beingness, or even you representing the fruition of your soul and spiritual essence coming into being. And so my whole thing is recognizing the divinity of the fruits and all of what one is able to bear. What are you able to receive or be able to take from in the garden, or in your garden, should I say. So where you find yourself, within the island, or just, wherever you find yourself within the island of space and whatnot regarding Avalon, what are you what are you able to gather in the fruits? And I find that what all one really is gathering is that wisdom of the shared experience between oneself and the earth itself, in correspondence with one's own energy field. You know what I mean? Because your energy in which you put forth, into the sphere, definitely has a way of communicating and corresponding back to you to let you know what you know or know not. You feel me? And Avalon has a great way of doing that, just as far as on its subtlety, its nature, the environment, everything. You know what I mean? And it's interesting enough because you gotta. I always say like you got to, but in a higher frequency, in a higher dimension, a lot of the things that are already here available on this one street, you know what I'm saying? It speaks to oneself, where they are at, and it let one know, like, what's really going on in the cosmic space of alignment, and even in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Because the experiences that we choose as, in this human body, what we choose to do with these avatars and whatnot, man, is very sacred, and it should be held sacred to the accountability. You know what I mean? So we should not like take it for granted. Maybe that's what I really want to say, because oftentimes we will let circumstance and the experience of what's already here run the course when we have the authority and the opportunity to change. And so I find that within the island of things, like they try to say no man is an island and all that shit. Yeah. All right. But like I was saying, when it comes to the island of fruits or the garden of fruits, or even just the isle of fruits, being that in the isle of which you have created or have been able to form and take shape of, these are all results of who you are, which you are able to bear. And so when you understand materials and things more as energetic, whereas in the formlessness and the unseen, in the essence of these things, then not only will you take more sacred accountability to what you allow and what you choose to experience with this body, in this mind-body experience. You know what I'm saying? Because too many times we give away pressure to things that don't need to be forced. So we forcing experiences, or we might find ourselves chasing experiences, racing against time, and doing a bunch of things that is not so divine, and it's only the mind. You know what I mean? So when the mind is left stranded, with its thoughts, emotions, and feelings and whatnot, then you bet you that that exoteric and everything outer is gonna be consumed, of itself, because one is not, or let's say one has lost their connection, or one is disconnected, or one is not rather connected within themselves, or not, let's say, fully connected. So it's not just the mind and it's not just the body, but it's all one as a conduit and as like a server to one's higher essence, awareness, energy, consciousness, right? And so I find a lot of that over here, just based on the energy over here and just what's going on over here. It's a lot of, it's like, I would say it's no coincidence when it comes to the manifest reality of what is created and the things that are, let's say, available in the space of energy, right? And so I say that to say, all down Avalon, all up and through Avalon, you got small businesses, you got you got food, mom and pop stores, you know what I'm saying? You got wholesale licensing stores, you got retail different, you got all sorts of shit that's dealing with, I would just say, fruits and the gardening of, I could say creation, but I just want to say the fruits of life, you know what I'm saying? And so when you see all of these things, and a lot of it be independent, or a lot of it be small business, man, it opened me up, you know what I mean, just into the spirit world, because I understand, just from in the spirit aspect of things, this is all a marketplace. The earth is the marketplace. So understanding the market of Avalon and what Avalon has to provide, man, I mean, shit, it's so much more. And I say that in the experience and the wisdom of what's kept here based on the history, the experiences, the events, the people here, you know what I'm saying? Everything, you know, it's so much, I would say, that's actually embedded here that could be overlooked. And that's where one needs to actually tune in. And I'm just glad that I'm one that could see, you know, because shit, I've been traveling up and down, you know, shit, Avalon, especially this year, for some time, bro. You know, I've been back and forth down this motherfucking block for some months, you know what I mean? And a lot of what Avalon has spoke to me has been very unseen of its own essence and presence in the way I've been guided in my spirit and my journey. And overall, nigga, I'm just like, man, you know, I would even say if I wasn't over here or on Avalon necessarily, there's some things and some events and some places and spaces, even people I wouldn't have met, I wouldn't have attended some events, and I wouldn't have known about certain things. And so I would say the insight to the mystery, you know, what Avalon provides, man, it is lit. You feel me? It is lit, you know. And so I feel the sage energy just because I am a sage myself. So you know that, you know, as a super sage, you know what I'm saying? I feel that the energy of the sage or the sage or the mystic energy, it has called me through the Avalon energy, which I found so insightful because it is connected to the Celtic lore and some of the Irish lore and all of that, you know, but really is derivative, or it stems from the Celtic lore. And I got into that energy because that energy has been communicated with me in a numerous of ways where I just be like, fuck it, man, let me tap in, you know what I mean? Because like, let me stop ignoring or avoiding what's calling me and really, you know, step into it. And when I did that, you know, I heard the message Avalon and Sage, because nigga, I'm always traveling, you know, through Avalon and Gage. I'm like, nah, nigga, Avalon and Sage. And I'm not even gonna play with you. I heard it first as Avalon and Sage, and then I'm like, oh, because of Avalon and Gage, I can see, you know what I mean? But in my own unseen of things, in my cosmic alignment and how, you know, I'm vibing, I've come to recognize this space and place as something better and different and beyond what it appears to be as Avalon and Gage. And so as a mystic, as a cosmic harmonizer, as a soul star traveling around motherfucking planet, nigga, you know, I come to this point of awareness and creation that, wait, the elements of things not only are interchangeable, but have changed. And so how I'm even experiencing, seeing, being, speaking, all the shit has changed. And I have full right to acknowledge, you know, whatever in me as it is mine or of me in a sense of self. And so that's where, you know, I found, or even Avalon and Sage has found me, you know, to be the one to speak this message. And I feel that. I feel like, man, I ain't even gonna hold you, bro. Because that, as I tapped into the energy, I was like, whoa. That's like, it was just like, whoa. Because it was confirming to the whimsical alerts and alarms that I was feeling. I'm like, okay, that make all the sense of why I'm, you know, picking up on all of these signs and signals and things, right? And so the Avalon energy is a real divine feminine energy of the goddesses. And so when it comes to the Celtic lore, when it comes to the Irish lore and stuff like that, you know, we could talk about the Morgan or Morgan Le Fay, whom I just got wind of today. And I've known of her, but I've known of the Morgan, not necessarily Morgan Le Fay. And so these energies that have been recently coming through that I recognize not only as divine feminine and as women, you know what I mean, but in the priestesshood, in the magic, in the mystic element of things, this is where I feel this is where I've been called, nigga. And so to have been called by the goddesses and the Morgan and all of that, you know, just to kind of understand where I'm at and how I'm even being seen in the unseen of things, let me know so much, you know, in this space of what go on here and why it's so interconnected and interwoven into what I'm getting ready to say. And so Avalon, as it is divine feminine, it is representative, or it is a realm of where the priestesses, the oracles, and those alike are you know, in their space where they congregate, where they live, where they socialize, where they operate, and where they conduct, you know, they magic, you know what I mean? So essentially, this is one of them spaces, man. Let's say the Avalon, the island, the what they call it, the Isle of Fruits, is where a lot of the priestesses, oracles, and whatnot can be found. And so I dig that, because even when we talk about the fairies and the fae and the priestesses of the fairy kingdom and fae and all of that, you know what I mean? A lot of that is within the trees. And of course, we're talking about the earth, but a lot of that is within the trees and whatnot, you know what I mean? So the inner earth and the interdimensional aspects of, you know, what is present, or what could be, you know, active at this moment, definitely spoke through the Avalon and the Morgan energy, but even furthermore within the Fae energy. And it made so much sense, or it made so much sense when it came to just, you know, my memory and my experience. And I'm like, damn, the east side full of trees. Like the trees that's over here is different from the trees that's on the west side. And I say that by the way that the trees are structured, the way the trees are like kind of grouped up together and are more aligned with each other. You know what I'm saying? On the west side, it could be a little bit more separate, and it could be even less trees just in certain residential areas and communities. But over here on the east side, nigga, there's trees, nigga, it's fucking galore. Nigga, there's trees everywhere. Nigga, it's so many trees. It let me know. I'm like, oh, now it has to be whatever they call it, Avalon, just based on where did that come from? Where did the influence or inspiration of, let's say, we're going to call this Avalon, where did that stem from, or where did that start from, or how did that come about, you know? And I find that the earth energy, right? The earth energy that already has the particular things available elementally is how we come to know, or come to, you know, identify and make up these things, Avalon being one of them. And so as I've just kind of just been in this energy, it has been so like fascinating how it has sparked my attention, and it has drawn me, you know, over here, just as, you know, a wise man myself, because many a times I've been asking myself, like, why must I go so far? Or not even like I'm going so far, because it ain't that far. Why must I travel, you know, this way? You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, it's like corners, pockets of wisdom, messages of fruits and things and all of that could come through one's own divine will by being insightful and explorative. And I find myself here today. And so shout out to that, because it's lit. But I took some notes, man, because in the channels of Avalon and Sage, it came as a channel message. And so here we are. We're gonna start from. In the multiverse of my mind, I heard the words Avalon and Sage, in which the Avalon energy has come up before, though I was unsure of its significance. Though I do make note how drawn to the east side that I've been, as I was just talking about. And so I've already explained Avalon representing the island of apples, or the Isle of Fruits. Avalon is abundant with businesses of food and services, also licensing and registration. I already told y'all that. And so the market of Avalon and what the island carries is the wealth of fruits or manifestation. Also, shout out to King Arthur, because Avalon, King Arthur, and the Celtic energy, as I said before, but also the Morrigan and even the healing energy. You know what I'm saying? The warrior and the healing energy is very high. You know what I mean? It's very high, it's very present, it's active over here. But King Arthur is connected to the Avalon, as the Avalon is also connected with the Morgan Le Fay, or the Celtic lore. The elemental origins in the Celtic traditions often describe the mystical, magical realm, perhaps of Avalon, where fairies or the Fae exist and travel alongside other elemental beings. You know what I'm saying? So we know about the gnomes, the trolls, and, you know, the brownies, and, you know what I'm saying? We could just, you know, we could talk all day about elementals and things like that. But I even find something more deeper is ancestral, based on the land. You know what I mean? Based on the land and how how we've come into being here, you know what I mean, to even understand what this is or what we call it, you know. And I feel like it has more of a sacrament, and it has much more of a value to it. It has much more of a value to it when we know better of these things rather than just what it may appear to be based on quote unquote society or an economy that was rather given to a nigga, opposed to you choosing and creating your own environment, reality, and space and place, and let's say redeeming your power. You feel what I'm saying? And I say that to say because, nigga, I don't want to say like taking your power back, but it's more so redeeming and retrieving what's already yours by claiming and authorizing it in your sense of self, in your speech, in your actions, in your way of how you articulate yourself. You know what I mean? And that can even be an action itself. So the elemental kingdom is significant and present throughout the abundance of trees on the east side. The trees and energy speak a different sort of language than the trees on the west side. And some might be elders to some of the trees on the west side. And that was something that I found significant just based on, like, you know, agriculture, civilization and growth and things like that. Because just how, you know, we in this human body are connected between genetics and families and things like that, so are these trees. And many of the trees that we see grow on the west side, or that we see on the west side, they are rather younger or newer, or could be younger or newer than a lot of the trees here on the east side. And I thought that was pretty significant just based on why it might be more of an abundance over here than it is over on the west side. And then even furthermore with the west side of things, you know, you got so much construction, gentrification, and all sorts of, you know, city council motherfuckers tearing down trees and knocking shit down and trying to input whatever they want to do. And so, you know, it's just a whole bunch of other shit going on that may not necessarily be rooted, you know what I'm saying, in the origins and the foundation of how things started. So where I'm at, all right. The east represents creation, potential, abundance, inspiration, dreams, and a more inward direction of the stars. The west represents the manifest of the creation, as in material, body, form, or manifestation. And even, you know, with the quote, you know, as many have said, you can't spell the west without the ES. I agree with that, meaning that the east and the west are one when the west side remembers its origin, when the body and mind remembers its essence and soul nature that it comes from, in the, let's say, essence of creator that it is, or that you are. You feel what I'm saying? So here we go. Where we at? So the east and west are one when the west side remembers its origin, journey, or path from the east. As within, so it is. Avalon as a street carries the fruits and the wisdoms of superstars, legends, warriors, leaders, and in general a certain togetherness is founded on the east side, spiritually speaking. It's like the home base for many west siders today, which I was saying that, you know, I'm a west side native, but I ain't gonna hold you. A lot of that easty blood boiling, it lives within me, you know, because my mama from the east side, you know what I'm saying? So my dad from the west side, my mama from the east side. And so it's crazy how that go. But what I'm really getting to understand is that on the east side, we are growing up here in California on the east side, the energy is way more volatile, you know what I'm saying? Way more turned up, you know what I mean? You know, way more rugged in some areas, you know what I mean? Way more, you know, active, and you know what I'm saying? But overall, that's how niggas fake look at it all of a sudden, you know, when they get some money, when they move to the valley, or, you know what I'm saying? But when our folks was just moving from the south and coming here, niggas was loving it. You know what I mean? Niggas wasn't, oh, this is ghetto, or this is that, or this is, nah. And I say that to say we shouldn't take on our identities, or we shouldn't take on our identities or masks that the world or people of the world try to say who we are, or how one should be or should operate based on a particular environment. Fuck all that, you know, especially when you know that you create your world and reality. So therefore, can't nothing outside of you define you for you. Instead, you take that charge. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something that I find, you know, not even on a collective thing, but it's more like from a sense of self, and let me keep going. But Avalon is also the place where King Arthur went to receive healing for his wounds. Avalon acts as a gateway between the worlds, seen and unseen, hence the element of mystery on Avalon. Avalon is specific to the divine feminine energy, where priestesses, oracles, and such were revered in the goddesshood. And so, also, as I don't want to repeat myself, but as I spoke on that energy, this energy led me to understand the Excalibur energy that is here. And so the Excalibur energy is relevant to King Arthur, as the Excalibur is the sword that was forged and where he was healed of his wounds after his last battle. And some say that he never died. He just went to sleep in Avalon, or in the island of Avalon, or the Garden of Avalon, and is waiting for his return, of the future. You know what I mean? So waiting to take back his kingdom or throne, whenever he feels so. So let's say whenever he chooses to awaken, you know what I mean? And so that I found that to be quite interesting to the storyline, because it's like, well, damn, energy is energy, so like nothing really never dies, so as they say, energy can't be created or destroyed. So if something or if someone is able to, let's say, put themselves to sleep for a particular amount of time, you know what I mean, then you damn sure know that same energy knows when it wants to awaken or when it might awaken, you know what I mean? But that, I understand it's all symbolic, so you don't got to take it literal in the sense of a real King Arthur or a real being of someone, waiting underground or in a hidden realm to take back the motherfucking East Side. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. So don't misinterpret the message. But interesting enough, the Excalibur is also connected to the voodoo spirits and the ancestors of Ifa and the New Orleans voodoo. The Oriate, shouts out to Ifa and Lukumi, Santeria, all of that, you know what I mean? Shouts out to that, you know what I mean? Oriate, whom is a high-ranking priest or master of ceremonies, if you will. And it says that the Oriente, whom is a high-ranking priest or master in a ritual coordination and enchantment in Lukumi. And so this even is in reference going back to the speaker, the speech energy, the magus or the magi energy, the oracle, the priest or priestess energy, the god or goddesshood. And essentially in Yoruba, Oriate means the wise head. So as one may operate, it means wise head, and one may operate as an oracle. So the wise head, or when one becomes the wise head of, let's say, the house or, whatever foundation or, system that you are in, you are, being called into that oracular practice or the practice of priesthood, you know what I mean? And, and yeah, nigga, that is a practice, nigga. You know what I mean? So definitely, I thought that was really significant, because, when we talk about information or knowledge and things like that, and how information is passed down or even passed through different lineages and whatnot, I find it to be no coincidence of the Excalibur energy being significant, with King Arthur and also with the Orishas, you know what I'm saying? And here I said, who is mighty enough to pull the sword or Excalibur from the stone head of Alegua. The initiate becoming an Oriate or master of ceremonies consists with being able to perform the strength or will of the Oriate, to be able to pull the sword from the head. In so doing, there is an energy exchange of wisdom in ceremony. The confidence, the charisma one builds from going through an initiation of such is not about validation or external validity, though it is the commitment and will of trust through the strength. In order to speak or say the right words, one must already be right in themselves as a knowing or a knower, even beyond knowing, to clarify or verify the purpose thereof. As to why have you been called or inspired? What makes you an Oriate, oracle, priest, god, king, or any of these things used to describe what should already be known unto self. And man, that's how I ended my notes and shit, just on that end. But overall, this is what the Avalon and Sage energy was speaking unto me, just throughout the day and or throughout the space. And I couldn't help but come and just, tap in and connect with the space around here, because I'm like, man, it's lit. But it's reminding me of why it's lit and why I've been over here so fucking much. And I'm like, oh, and it's not even saying, oh, it ain't even me, but it's within my higher self, of which I've been called, and I'm constantly called to awaken, remember, and realize action, realization. You know what I mean? So realize the actions and whatnot, is taken, that is actually drawing one in, because nothing is outside of you. So everything and everyone that could appear such is really just remnants, or could be remnants of who you are, where you are, and what you are doing or about. And that's something that you got to take. That's where that accountability come in at, because the experience you are looking for, or the desires and things that you are going for, and the results and things that you're not getting, the things that you're not fruiting or manifesting, or you understand that. And so when you can, and shout out to my spirit guys, because my spirit guys said some real shit that was like, man, it's not that it's just perception, but I'm gonna use perception in this sense, because it is. Many a times we don't even understand the power that we already hold, and we trying to attain or achieve some shit elsewhere in an area that it really don't need. And so my thing is using the muscle of your mind and memory, and channel the right signal, nigga. You can connect and do the right thing, as in moving your energy through your body in the best way, like Tai Chi or Wu Wei or things like that. But what came to understand was that many a times we'll complain. I mean, humanly, I'm not saying we don't know nothing like that. Many a times, though, the human will try to find a complaint or make up some shit just to feel, and not necessarily know or recognize what it is actually feeling. And that's not fair unto one's holistic being of truth. So it's so easy to grasp on a false sense of logic or emotion, just to say what is or what isn't or whatever, and not fully express yourself. And so don't be half-assing. But I say this to say discipline. Discipline is something that people don't even realize that they have. And I'm saying this even for myself, because if you understand the things that you do, or you will do, or you want to do, and how you do it, then you could really get into or you could break them down, like as a routine or a system as to how they are done, why they are done, when they are done, because of whatever the foundation or cause may be. But then if you understand how to use the same energy in different areas of what you want, then you could definitely connect better with the fruits of your labor. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even want to say labor like that, but the fruits of the garden. You can connect better with the fruits of the vine. You can connect better with the fruits of the island. You know what I mean? And so definitely that was something that I was like, wow. I couldn't unsee it, because I'm like, that is fucking true. You know what I'm saying? For a lot of things that a nigga feel like, oh, I gotta stop this to get that. Not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily. But if you do discipline your desires and passions and actions with, the things that you actually want, you know what I mean, then you can find better execution in those things, rather than moving up for impulse or repost or, no post. You know what I'm saying? Word is bomb. And so that was something I found was significant, because that spoke clearly to me as well when it came to the energy of discipline, and how uneasy that the mind can make things for no fucking reason. And that was just something that I found was so clear as day. But yeah, man, we out here, you know what I'm saying, on Avalon and Sage, vibing, you know what I mean, as the sage self, and just doing what a sage do, and just vibing, man, But I just want to say thank you and much gratitude, upon the earth and the air and the fire and the water and all the elements, Akasha, everything, because for all that it has called me into this space, it is it has reminded me of how great and true that I am and to be. And so that's just something that I feel, and I want to share that. And I know I've been called to share that, but I feel it more in my being, as I'm here, just in this space, in this love. And so I want to say thank you to that, and I want to say much love from the west side to the east side and back to the motherfucking west side. It. And so yeah, man, we gonna vibe, man. I'm gonna put this motherfucking wood in the air. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna like these good herbs, and I'm gonna vibe, do my thing, man. Y'all do yours. Have a good Sunday, man. One love.